Hello, everybody. I'd like to do a video about the Jim Henson Ron Howard documentary on Disney Plus. Um, Obviously, anyone who knows Jim Henson, knows pretty much most of what there is to know about him. So I don't think I'm giving away too many spoilers, and I don't think I will give detailed things about it, but I'll just say I really liked it. I really thought it was a good documentary, but there were a few things omitted. Some that I didn't think were a big deal for obvious reasons, and two things that I thought, they could have broached upon that a little bit. Number one, they bring up that he was born in Mississippi, I think. Was it Mississippi or Alabama? I think it was Mississippi. And then they just skip right to him working and, you know, going going to college. But they really missed an opportunity to talk about his second home. That when he was, I think, in middle school or so, his family moved to Maryland, which is where I grew up, and he basically grew up in Mississippi and Maryland as a child and ended up going to the University of Maryland. They hardly talked about that. So they showed him making puppets with his wife and stuff, but they really didn't touch upon where they were making them. They were making them in the home ec department at University of Maryland because they didn't have a puppeteering, uh, department in their theater production. So he made the puppets and stuff and did puppetry in home ec, which back then was mostly for women. Women mostly did home ec, and so he was one of the only guys in the home ec class, and so they didn't talk about his days in Maryland, his time growing up in Maryland, and they didn't talk about going to the University of Maryland, which was his college he went to, and they even built a statue for him at the University of Maryland. It's like on a bench. He's sitting on a bench, I think, with Kermit the Frog, sitting next to him. And he's got his hand on top of Kermit. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it looks like. I've actually never seen it, but I had a chance to go there, but I didn't go. And the other thing they really didn't touch upon was his love of England when he became famous. And they did bring up the Lotus car, but not that the Lotus car was actually in England. The English government gave him a Lotus car, a green Lotus car, in honor of Kermit the Frog. It even had the Kermit eyes on the lights, and that was when. So he really loved England. It was like a second home to him. But you had to pay taxes if you lived there more than you live in say, America. So he had it worked out that he lived in America slightly longer, like one day longer than he lived in England. So he actually paid taxes in America. But he really loved England. It was like a second home to him. He maybe loved it more than America. And he had studios there, the Muppet Studios, the Muppet Creature Studios, and all this stuff, and so they had that kind of omitted from the whole thing. The University of Maryland, living in Maryland, actually growing up in Maryland, and really loving England, calling it a second home, if you will, to him and his family. He would bring his kids there and stuff. And I forgot that he had gotten divorced to his wife. I don't think he cheated on her or anything, but he spent a lot of time away from her and was more committed to work than his wife and his family life. So he later in life, his kids became a part of his business, and he taught them the ropes and stuff. But his wife ended up divorcing him. Him and his wife divorced I forgot about that. So really good documentary. They did omit those two things, and the thing that a lot of the critics don't like, and they don't like the fact that the guy that took over for, because he did Kermit's voice, and the guy that took over for him was Steve Whitmire, and he was not present in any of the interviews. I think he donated some footage to to the documentary, but he was not in any of it. He was not, and he even was a little upset about this. I wouldn't say I'm upset about it. They really didn't touch upon what happened after he died, and also I guess the thing was almost 2 hours long. I mean, it was 1 hour and 40 some odd minutes. So if they were to put all this stuff in there, I guess it would have just been too long. I mean, who's going to sit around for like a 3+ hour documentary about Jim Henson? I think that would be even a stretch. Maybe for the diehard fans like me, I could probably do it, but like casual fans aren't going to sit through that, and it's not going to get ratings or viewership. So, like, they really didn't touch upon a lot of his death and how that came down. I read the book about his. I forget who wrote it. It came out a couple of years ago. My sister got it for me. It was about his whole life, and I think his family contributed to the book. I think his wife ended up dying recently, but before she died, she contributed to the book, and it was basically, I think, a longer process. His death. They made it seem like in the documentary like it was a 3-day thing, and oh my god, he didn't go to the doctor in 3 days, and that's why he died. I think it was longer than 3 days. I think he was like, judging from my experience, I had pneumonia for over a week, and went to the doctor after like a week and a half or so, and that's usually how it goes down. I mean, it's usually not just 3 days that you have that you're sick and then you die. That's usually not how it happens. So, his death not being touched upon more. The fact that he loved England a lot and spent a lot of time there, and the fact that he was a Marylander, along with being from Mississippi. So, besides those things, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good documentary. I think Ron Howard did a good job with it, and it was fun. It was a fun little retrospective of his life, and what I would recommend to anybody watching it who enjoyed it, or even if you had miscomings with it like me, like the things that could have been expanded upon. Read the book. Hold on, let me go get the book. Hold on. Okay, the book is Jim Henson, The Biography by Brian J. Jones. This is it here. It's a really good book. It's pretty thick. That's the back of it. It's Jim. That's a really famous picture that was actually in the documentary. So I'm pretty sure they took a lot of the documentary info from this book, but just, I guess, if they were to put everything from the book in there, it would have been like 3 hours plus. It would have been like longer than a Lord of the Rings movie. A little ridiculous. So let me just show you. Out of a 10, because of the omissions of some of those stuff, I will give it a 9. A solid 9. Really liked it, but could have used a little more information about him living in Maryland and about his time in England and how much he loved England. So anyway, without further ado, I have the Kermit the Frog doll. There, Kermit the Frog. Okay. I have Fozzie. And these are all like my favorites. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. They're like my favorite characters in the Muppets. And there's one more that I don't have that I will mention afterwards. And a second Fozzie. I have 2 of these guys. and Gonzo. Okay, and the one I don't have Animal, and Animal's like one of my favorites. My dad just walked by. I had to wave to him. He waved and he gave the peace sign and stuff. So, so yeah, Gonzo, Kermit, Fozzie, and Animal are like my favorite characters in the whole series, and um, I just love them. I absolutely love the Muppets. They every one of the ones I like, the major Muppets, Gonzo, Kermit, Fozzie, and Animal, all embody something about my personality. So maybe that's why I really, really enjoy the Muppets and give this a high rating of a 9 out of a 10. Would get a perfect 10 if it included the Maryland stuff more. And I don't even care, excuse me, I don't even care about the Whitmire thing. There were people that said that he left on bad terms, that he started to feel like he owned the character and got full of himself and was demanding they do the Muppets a certain way. He was saying that he you know didn't like the depressed Kermit or depressed Muppets. But come on, Kermit's always been depressed. There's always been a little bit of depressed. Like, you ever watch Muppets Take Manhattan or the Muppet movie? They all had a little depression going on. The great thing about the Muppets were they weren't perfect, and that's what was great about them. They had their flaws, and to say that they were too depressed, I mean, I thought he was wrong on that. And if he was getting too like demanding of stories and stuff, and then as much as he agreed that it was wrong to get rid of Whitmire, um, the Frank Oz did parts for this documentary, so he must not be that butthurt over the whole thing. He has a relationship with Disney in some way. He did the Star Wars movies with Yoda for The Last Jedi, which I thought was a great scene, by the way, and a great movie. Um, but so he at least has some kind of working relationship with the studios and Disney and stuff. So he doesn't want to burn too many bridges. So he actually did this documentary, but he did side with Whitmire. But then Henson's kids, his daughter, and um, sons all said Whitmire had to go. I mean, he was like causing trouble. So I mean, if I'm going to side with anyone, I'm going to side with Henson's kids and stuff. And there were some Muppets that liked him and said it was wrong that they got rid of him, and some Muppet, performers that said they were right to get rid of him. Some said it was right to get rid of him, some said it wasn't. So I wouldn't say it was split down the middle 50-50. I would say it's more leaning towards that he was out of his bounds, doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing. And I think there was enough people that said that to make it seem legitimately true. So, I mean, if they were to bring him back for interviews, it would have been just a little awkward, being that they fired him for reasons that may have been because he was not being a team player, so to speak, not doing what he had to do to um, work with the guys on the crew and the Muppets crew and Disney and whatnot. So who knows? Anyway, really liked it. Would really recommend it. Anyone who has Disney Plus, check it out. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And I'm going to leave you here. May the force be with you all. Um, it's not easy being green. And God bless. And happy Friday. And good night, good morning, whatever it is for you guys. Um, have a great weekend.